Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth. What happened to Zack Snyder during the shoot of Justice League was one of the most grossest injustices in the history of film. When I think about the film we could have seen, I just feel so gutted. When I left that movie theatre, I was devastated. I was underwhelmed. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know why Zack left Justice League. I don't know why, if it was truly because of his daughter. He was quoted at the time saying he thought he could manage to carry on, but he couldn't. Now, if it was genuinely a case of him not being able to carry on because of the death of his daughter Autumn, then maybe the right thing to do was to halt production until he could come back. But we don't know what happened. We all have theories. Most of us now think that Warner Brothers removed him from the film once they saw his cut, brought in Joss Whedon to do a kind of Marvel spin, an MCU spin, on the Justice League movie. I am desperate to see the Justice League Snyder cut. Desperate. I can imagine what kind of film it is, it could have been, and we need to see it. Now, we're all hoping and wishing and praying for a big announcement at Comic-Con San Diego, but will we get one? Who knows? Who knows? We could end up really disappointed. We could just have an Aquaman panel, a Wonder Woman panel, and a Shazam panel. Now, that wouldn't be disappointing. That's very exciting. But can we really move forward with this franchise without seeing the Snyder Cut? This should never have happened. They should have just trusted Zack. But they didn't. Because Warner Brothers were getting it from all angles and they didn't know what to do for the best in the end. After seeing his cut, they decided they needed a lighter, shorter film. They've now admitted that's a mistake. Now, they're giving Jared Leto his own Joker movie. They're righting a wrong. They need to right a wrong here as well. We need to see this cut. You know, one of the great scenes in the trailers is, I'll take it as a yes, when Clark and Lois are on the Kent farm. Now that looks beautiful. That looks more like we got in the other two movies. But the scenes on the Kent farm that Joss Whedon shot were terrible. They didn't even look like they were really on a farm. It all looked CG. The background looked fake. It was disgusting and it looked cheap. And I was disappointed. When he says yes ma'am and he smiles, it's horrible. You can tell it's CGI. It's so cringy. This is not what we wanted. Despite critics and some people not liking the DCEU before Justice League, I was totally in love with it and in support of it. And I could argue with people who hated it for hours. I could give responses to what they said and their criticisms. I couldn't justify Joss Whedon's Justice League. Now, it's not Joss Whedon's fault. He was put in charge to do a really difficult gig. And in some aspects, he did a good job. But ultimately, we're in love with Zack Snyder. We want to see his Justice League. And we never got to see that. Now, in terms of the Justice League Snyder Cut, we've been called insane, crazy, wishful thinkers when we claim there was a Snyder Cut. But at the end of the day, we all know now there is a Snyder Cut. Because we've been told. We've been told by people who were there, basically. Zack Snyder's tried to throw hints to us. He's given us pictures. He can't say anything else. He still works for Warner Brothers. He's kind of got a relationship with them. I don't think they hate each other. Now, the claims that he's maybe going to take legal action against them so he can finish his cut and show it to audiences, I don't believe that. I've seen people try and take Warner Brothers to court before. I remember the Schuster and Siegel heirs trying to get back the rights for Superman from Warner Brothers. That ended really badly for them because Warner Brothers will never let anyone mess with their ownership of DC. But I do believe they're sorry. I do believe they think they made a mistake. And when I look at these trailers, when I look at the footage, when I look at the pictures that Zack keeps on dropping on Vero, it's really depressing to think of the film we could have had. No defenders here, no lanterns, no Kryptonians. What a great line. We needed that line. Zack Snyder claims he doesn't even know anything about a Russian family. What's going on here? You know, we don't necessarily need answers, but we do need the Snyder Cut. I truly believe it will be a beautiful film. A film we need to see, whether it's a beautiful film or not. Because at the end of the day, this was the third act of a trilogy. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Zack had the right to finish it, to edit it. We wanted Junkie's music. We didn't want anyone else's music. We were going to get a great third act from Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio. We were robbed. Zack Snyder was robbed. How far is this going to go until we get, the audience get what we want? Because for me these days in Hollywood, we seem to be left behind as an audience. We seem to be not cared about. They seem to believe they can make money with or without our support, which is insane. But I believe in Warner Brothers. I believe they made a mistake from pressure, from critics, from mainstream audiences, some of the hate they got for the DCEU. I believe the DCEU, before Justice League, was a beautiful thing, full of depth and passion. And I was really proud of it, proud of having those films in my collection. I've come to terms with Whedon's Justice League, even enjoyed elements of it. But I really need to see the Snyder Cut. I really need to see Zack's final vision of that film before I can move on and enjoy the future of the DCEU, which I believe under Walter Hamada and Jim Lee is going to be really special. Really special. So, will we get it? You're asking the wrong person. The truth is, there's so many bloggers saying this and that. There's YouTubers. I mean, there's a great YouTuber out there called Chris Wong, Ping Pong Flicks. You should add him up, subscribe to him, and he's brilliant. He's always talking about the Snyder Cut. But at the end of the day, we're just passionate fans. We don't have any real information. We're trying to put 2 and 2 together and try and get 4, but sometimes we get 5 and 6. Lots of hints have been dropped by Zack. We feel in our bones now that San Diego could be the place for an announcement. But will there ever be an announcement? Will they ever admit to a Snyder Cut? I don't know. Who loses out here? The fans, the DC fans, the DC Comics fans. I know not all of them appreciate Zack, but I know some of them do. And at the end of the day, Zack Snyder is still involved in the DCEU. He's the producer of Wonder Woman. He's the producer of Aquaman. Is that because he was there before and he's got to be? Or has he got a future within this franchise? There's rumours that the current leadership, Walter Hamada, is very supportive of Zack Snyder and wants him to carry on being involved. And he's very sympathetic to what happened to him with Justice League. We saw the reels of Zack filming Justice League. Them all having a good time. We know the actors love Zack. They felt at ease with him. They trusted him. We, his fans, trusted him. Give the man an opportunity to finish his cut of the Justice League. We're not asking for the impossible here. It's there. And if there is no Snyder Cut, he finished principal photography. He can put it together. There's rumours that he's been putting it together for the past 7 months. Do I know this as fact? No. Me and you, the fans, are willing to see this film. We deserve it. We've put so much time and emotion into the DCEU. Give us something back so we can finally move forward. Thank you. Keep it real.